Back again, ladies. Can we talk? Let's just disarm for a moment and get completely, genuinely transparent with one another. Last week I was talking about the things that are going on in our nation and our ways to properly respond, that there is good news despite and amid the circumstances. And if you guys take a journey with me, we could dive in a little deeper, pressing into the Lord, if you will, to look at further beyond the natural what our Father is saying. And before we can dive in deeper into seeing what our dad is saying, we want to first get into a relationship with him. And the way you do that is to just stop, drop wherever you're at in your tracks in your life. Acknowledge that He is God and that you were made by Him, and that He has some awesome, cool stuff for you to achieve on this earth. That's why He housed you with some awesome, cool gifts. And to look at considering, despite some of the things that we've all had to suffer through, to consider it a tempering, if you will, to melt down some of the rough edges, things that couldn't properly be used by Him. Also to deepen in our compassion capacity, to stand with others as they go through, so we're not so removed and sterile when we're approaching other people. Because the beautiful thing about being connected with other people is being able to be impactful. And a lot of times we don't like it on the front, but when we go through different things, that deepens our capacity to be impactful. So just take that as a little taste and a little nugget. Last week we were talking about Isaiah 61, about there is good news that is to be spoken to those who have a sensitive ear to hear, a meekened, humbled receptivity to hear. And so on this particular time, we're going to talk about the second part of that passage of Isaiah 61 of there is the good news, and it's to be shared with those who have an ear to hear. And the second part of that passage deals with binding up the brokenhearted. Now, ladies, if we were to just pause, do a reflective moment, we can all recall in our mind's eye a time that we imagine being brokenhearted. If it was what you were imagining when you were a little girl, from when you were a little girl, you were going to grow up and you were going to meet this knight in shining armor who was going to whisk you away, put you on the horse, and you ride off into the sunset, and you were going to be treated like a princess, and everything was going to be happily ever after from that point on. If that, you could identify with that realm of thinking and how removed that would be from what it is we experience in this earth, in terms of how would that impact people for the positive, when in actuality, because we live in a fallen world, we're going to run across, if you will, more broken-hearted ladies than not. And just have that in deeper contemplation about why God allows us to go through the things we go through. That brings me to my second point on this week, the second part of that first verse in Isaiah 61, that the call on our lives is to present the good news and to come across those whose hearts have been broken. So if we can all just for a moment attest and agree, our hearts having been broken, that enables us, when we come across different people in our lives, if we could do nothing else, just be able to stand with them and identify with them in a propensity of deep compassion. And if you have nothing else to say, you could just stand, being able to identify on some level, understanding having been brokenhearted. And if we were to look at what brokenhearted looks like, just in its simplest form, you think of a heart pumping, everything flowing to it to get life and vitality from, and imagining that heart being split for whatever reason. That heart just being split, the valves disconnected, the flow, the oxygenation of the blood, it affects, when it's been split, the vitality of life pumping, if you will. So if any of you ever have been split, any of you ever been, there's been a brokenness that has occurred in that heart, that vitality, that idea, that endeavor, I'm right now with you, taking a deep breath, inhaling, exhaling, and inviting you to press in further for proper perspective. He, in the second part of that verse, mentions binding up the brokenhearted. So if you could just taste looking at it from a more positive perspective, just think of that. Wow, I get to be a candidate to have of the one, being in the company of someone who can take a heart that's been broken and be put back together again. If my heart never been broken, I wouldn't be a candidate for that. And that is why I'm connecting with my ladies, wanting to invite them to look at pain, look at brokenness from a different perspective. Wow, I get to be in the line of the one who's able to take my heart that's been split and have him touch me personally, to take a split heart, a shattered heart, a dropped heart, and have him personally, the great physician himself, take my heart and bring it back together again in one piece, make it whole again, anew. Wow. What an awesome experience. As painful as it may be on the front, but to be a candidate in the lineup for that is unspeakable. That's that unspeakable. That's that beyond the natural. So I want to invite my ladies to explore that further, looking at, wow, my heart has been split, but don't get stuck there. To look right next to that and see what happens. Wow, I get to be a candidate for the one who takes a broken heart and brings it back together again and makes it whole and entire, anew, afresh. Now, ladies, as I mentioned earlier, we're able to be more impactful. What an awesome thought. The value of your life being increased, having more direction, more purpose, more intentionality. So I want our ladies to just consider, as I read earlier in the passage, good news is on the floor, amid and despite the circumstances, but also he also has something for those of us who've had our heart broken. And he is there as the binder, the gluer, the great physician, the one who takes something that was split, broken, tattered, fragmented, shattered, and make it anew. Focusing on that gives us purpose, directionality, intentionality, focus, and now we have goal setting till we leave this earth. And we're going to be talking about that on our next segment a little bit deeper. That way we can deepen not only in our capacity to empathize, be there for others, but also to stay focused on the agenda and the purpose God has set forth in our lives. So on our next segment, we're going to talk about the proclamation, being the cheerleaders, the voice of there is freedom, there's victory from any place because we're connected to the right one. So meet me on my next one and we'll talk about it further. Again, Donna Gardner, and this is Ladies Can We Talk. See you on the next segment, and I'm praying that you have a wondrous, blessed rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one. If you need to get in touch with me, GardnerDonna555 @gmail.com. Again, GardnerDonna555 gmail.com, the number of grace. Love you guys. If you have any insights, suggestions, tips, send them in, and that way we'll be able to continuously collaborate. See you on the next one, and I just pray all goes well and prospers with you.